mentored others and helped the association and given generously of him or herself in time, effort, and love. We call it the Guiding Spirit Award. Thank you, I came up with that name. The recipient is someone without whom our city, our industry, our association, and our lives would be very different. Now, once we created the award, we strongly considered 4 people who have been of phenomenal value to us all. One is a teacher and a recruiter who has either trained or hired, or both, nearly half the people in this room. One is a successful freelance guide whose rapier wit and clever turn of phrase has inspired many a colleague to simply steal large portions of his material. Guilty. One was a president of GANYC who helped to steer the ship during a very turbulent time in our association's history and saw us through to a bright future. And one, I am very proud to say, is a dear friend of mine with whom I have read poetry, listened to music, and shared many a fine meal. Their names are Lee Gelber, Lee Gelber, Lee Gelber, and Lee Gelber. Now in his 23rd year as a guide, Lee is one, yeah, can you believe it? Lee is one of those well-rounded experts who can talk about architecture, baseball, Broadway musicals, politics. A conversation with Lee leaves one feeling like a plant that has been watered. It comes as no surprise to learn that in his former career as an executive in the toy industry, he served as a consultant for the cards in the first edition of Trivial Pursuit. Could anything on earth be more natural than to segue from that into tour guiding? Now, many years ago, the New York Times dubbed Lee the Dean of Guides. Since then, he has worn that title as comfortably as any of his brightly colored, busily patterned braces. You know them. And he has remained as attached to that title as he is to his signature guardsman's mustache, which has its own zip code. The title of Dean can now be found on Lee's business cards and his email address. And when training and mentoring new guides, he has amassed a collection of books and articles which he deems essential to an up-and-comer's expertise in the city. This syllabus is known as the Dean's List. Now, I first met Lee in 2005 when I was pursuing my very first job in this industry, long before I knew it would be a career. And the human resources director at the double-decker company where I was trying to get hired sent me to Lee. He made it pretty clear, you know, if you want to get in, you need Lee Gelber's blessing. Well, a week or two later, I'd gotten my feet wet giving some tours, and Lee calls me and asks me, how's it going? And I let out a frustrated sigh. I said, oh, every time the bus comes back to the starting point, I remember this thing I forgot to say in Greenwich Village, that story I forgot to tell on the Lower East Side. And they said, Matt, they'll never know what you don't tell them. And this was the very first of many pearls of wisdom he has given me that I have held on to and passed down to other young guides who now come to me for counsel and advice the same way I still come to him. And once they've put a decade of experience behind them, I am sure they will pass down those pearls as well. Wherever you are in local New York City tourism, you eventually think of Lee. His name is always on everyone's lips. His image is in everyone's head. His voice in every impressionist repertoire. Let's have a look at Lee with his clients, his colleagues, and his thoughts. gentlemen, the Dean.
You did it to me again. Distinguished guests, dear friends, colleagues, one of the last phrases one might be used to hearing from me is that I'm at a loss for words. Well, this is such an honor. I'm going to have to speak to the subject. Sometimes I'm still amazed that I've been a New York City guide for 23 years. You know, it's great fun doing that. All things considered, it is a perfect fit. I can use my college major, history, and my military occupational specialty, truck dispatching, on a regular basis. And of course, one of my favorite lines was preempted in the video, that I have never met a microphone I didn't like, which is still the case. Inspired by E.B. White's great masterpiece, Here is New York, that I first read when I was a senior at Dewitt Clinton High School in the Bronx, New York City has and always will be my passion. In a past life, as a sales and marketing executive in the toys and games business, I used to travel a great deal, gold frequent flyer cards, and all the attendant perks. Every time the plane was on its approach to LaGuardia, JFK, or Newark, and the magnificent skyline came into view, I would recite at various volume levels, low with no help from Johnny Walker, Sir Walter Scott poem, breathes there a man with soul so dead, who never to himself has said, this is my own, my native land. And that really does it. Yeah. This honor, this recognition by my friends, peers, colleagues, thrills me so. This is an unforgettable evening. As the white of my mustache might indicate, I'm not among the younger members of the profession. Therefore, I've made plans for my final exit. Not from the organization, you can't get rid of me that. But, as I said, you plan ahead, so to speak. And I have requested at that last time that the number 4 train goes to Woodlawn. I requested the last stanza of Cole Porter's I Happen to Like New York. When it is time for my last farewell and the undertaker rings the funeral bell, I don't want to go to heaven, I don't want to go to hell, I happen to love New York. Obviously, decided it the last time I tried to carry a tune, I got a hernia, but again, my heartfelt thanks for this great honor and to see so many dear friends, colleagues. I'm somewhat overwhelmed, and they still haven't invented a waterproof mustache wax. Thank you.